Okay, everybody, it is 1 o'clock and I want to welcome everybody here today. We got 128 people and counting. My name is Mark Woolley. I'm broker owner of Royal LePage Woolley Realty in Waterloo Region, and I want to welcome you to our third Southwestern Ontario Speaker Series. So we got a great session for you today. Excited about it. We've got lots of takeaways for you. We got some great speakers, and hopefully you'll get some good value out of it. I want to welcome, we've got, normally with this Southwestern Speaker Series, obviously it's Southwestern Ontario, but we did, for this meeting, we put out a call to arms of all of our Royal LePages across the country. We've got some people from all over the place. So I want to welcome all of our folks. We've got some folks from Kelowna, Perth, Oshawa, Collingwood, Ottawa, all Southwestern Ontario as well. So welcome to everybody and appreciate you guys signing on. I want to thank my the committee members here, Mr. Adam Miller, Angie Asadorian, and Jeff Morley. Four of us have been working diligently to put content together for you folks. And again, we hope you enjoy it and hope you have some great takeaways from it. So just to give you an idea on the format. So our previous meetings, we had Mandy Bujold, who's the Olympic boxer from here in Ontario. So she was our first speaker, had some awesome takeaways, was a great speaker. If you didn't see her, she's fantastic if you ever get a chance. We also had a great panel of Royal LePagers that are doing great things, great works, great deeds in their communities. And they talked about all the great things they're doing within their communities, giving back, charity events, and then how that affects their businesses. And then today we have, the topic is called Pandemic Proof. And the idea of today's session is we were trying to come up with what would be a great content for you agents to chew on, and what has the last 18 months been for everybody. And so what we decided was, we've got a great panel of three agents. So we've got Matt Campbell, Mike Sloan, Sarah Middleton. I'll introduce them in a second. So they are varying degrees of ages, geography, time of business, or time in the business. And so what we want to check with them is we're going to have questions for them on how they thrived and prospered within the last 18 months of this pandemic. So things that worked during the pandemic. I mean, here's a prime example. Not a lot of us were doing Zoom, 2-3 years ago, right? So there's certain things that have come out of this pandemic that, you realtors have done such a great job in pivoting and adding things into your business because of it. And then also there's some things that maybe were things that they were doing before that still work through the pandemic, and they're going to take into their businesses in the future. So we'll have a lot of great questions for them. And then bringing up the rear is Dimitris Kalogeropoulos, who is better known as Agent DK, because you probably couldn't say Kalogeropoulos 3 times quickly. But Agent DK is joining us from Royal LePage team in Ottawa. He is a great speaker. I've seen him before live, lots of energy, great producer. He's going to talk about the 10 things in his business that he did, that 10 things you need to do in your business and 10 things not to do. So sometimes it's easy enough to say, here's a great idea, but we all know that one of the things in real estate is sometimes you're going to have ideas that don't work. And, sharing those successes and failures are equally valuable. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panel. So our first member is Mr. Matt Campbell from Royal LePage Woolley Realty, servicing Waterloo Region. And Matt moved to KW in 2017. He's worked in high levels of sales and service since graduating in 2016. Has been a licensed realtor since May of 2020. So not a long time. We wanted somebody, as you can tell, with a fresh face. Just shy of achieving in 2021 the Diamond Award, and he really hasn't been full-time only for the last maybe half year. Recently married, newlywed Matt, loves the golf, watch sports, spend time with his friends and family, likes volunteering, and likes to sneak away to the cottage. So welcome, Mr. Matt Campbell. Say hi to everybody.
Thanks everyone. Hi.
No problem. Next on the docket is Mr. Mike Sloan. And Mr. Sloan is from Royal LePage Triland, and that is in the London area. And very interesting, London and Grand Bend area specifically for Mike. And interestingly enough, Mike was born in Detroit area and came to Canada in 2007. He's got about 10 years of experience, and has many awards: Royal LePage Gold Award, Diamond Award, Chairman's Club just this past year. So again, run the gamut of climbing up the ladder of success and awards within the brand. When Mike's not selling or teaching, oh, actually, the one thing that I found very interesting, Mike is a tenured full contract marketing professor at Fanshawe College. So super interesting background for Mike. And when he's not selling or teaching, spending time with his wife and his 3 kids in Grand Bend, fits music and surfing, kiting from different beaches all around the world. So welcome, Mike Sloan.
Hello, everyone.
All right. And last but not least, Miss Sarah Middleton from Royal LePage Crown Realty, which services the Cambridge area. Sarah has been with Royal LePage since she started, which is about 10 years ago. She practices all types of real estate, mostly residential, but specializes in seniors, downsizers, adult communities. She was a former registered massage therapist. So again, very interesting, very service oriented. Again, same with the other 2, very highly decorated. Sarah has received the Diamond Award 6 years in a row, so that's super impressive. Again, very difficult to be consistent in our industry, so that's great. But the award she's most proud of, and this is going to be a hard act to follow for anybody else. She won the Cambridge Association of Realtors Award of Merit that she received in 2016 for donating a portion of her liver to a baby at Sick Kids in Toronto. So that is fantastic. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
So Sarah, just let me ask you before we move on, how's the baby doing?
Really good. I don't get frequent updates, but from what I know, he's doing very well. He's actually, by a twist of fate, I was anonymous, but I ended up finding out through, it's a long story. If you check it out on the internet, you can find a little documentary about it, but I did find out that he's from London, Ontario, and
Wow.
he's now, he was about 8 months old in 2016. So he's growing fast, and he's doing well.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. I mean, that's why we put you last, because to put you first and saying you donated a liver and then have the other 2 guys after you, that would have been a tough act to follow. So
Yeah, and something you shouldn't try at home.
yeah. Well, it's great of you to do that. And thanks to all 3 of you for being here. Again, we know you guys are busy, and we really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your insights with us. So thank you very much. So starting with that, why don't we start? So as I said, our format's going to be, we've got some questions that we provided this great group ahead of time a little bit so they could know what we were going to ask. And we'll start with the first question, if that's okay. So Shelby, so the first question we have, first question we have is, what is one thing you did differently because of COVID that you will carry on doing in the future? And second part of that is, what is one thing that you'll immediately stop doing and go back? So something that you found new during the pandemic, and then something that you thought didn't work and you might stop. So who wants to start with that? How about Matt? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So as you guys know, all I've really known is pandemic real estate life, because I joined a couple months into the pandemic. But one thing that became pretty evident to me right away, with everyone spending more time on their phones and things like that, everybody wants information fast. So I really focused in on how could I respond, obviously with the right answers, but try and get as fast as possible, because in this world now, everybody's looking at their phones and their emails, and they're not out doing things. They want answers quickly. So one thing that I do that I'm sure many others do is I assign a particular ringtone to all my clients, potential clients, emails for real estate leads and things like that. And it's to the point now where even my wife, like, will be at home having dinner and she'll hear the ring go and she's like, Matt, you got to do it. So communication and response time, I found, is something that, like with COVID, obviously in general, I would have focused on that, but with COVID and people being on their phones and such, I knew it was super important. So, and then one thing that I haven't done, but I will go back to doing, which I'm doing right now, is open houses. So I never got a taste of open houses, and I'm looking forward to diving into that.
Interesting. Yeah. So again, good lesson there is that obviously utilizing technology, as you talked about, and I know you're big on the smart leads as well. But there still are things that are out there like open houses that are always going to be productive, right? How about you, Mike? Oh, just muted there.
Yeah,
There
I
we
just
go.
didn't want any noise going through. One of the catalysts for my business sort of jumping up a couple levels that I started doing about 6 years ago was the narrated video presentation. So it's not just a matter of having your media specialist piece together some stuff and walk through the house. Like I'm very attached to the idea of storytelling when it comes to real estate, but I would only include this marketing piece with clients who are willing to pay a higher rate of commission. And my focus has always been kind of on listings. Since I've been in the business, I do deal with a lot of buyers. So, but with listings, I decided as soon as COVID hit, no matter what the commission rate was, because I do believe in volume as well. I know a lot of you are going to dislike hearing this, but I discount commission, not dramatically, but I will often beat rates and barter with people to get that next listing, because without listings, you have to have listings in this market. That's the answer to another one of my questions. But this fully narrated video presentation, I started including with every listing, and I'm not going to stop doing that. It is a bit of extra work. There's a couple other little things I'll add in another answer that are extra work, but these listings, and I've always believed in this, you need to get every single detail. Like this 2 to 3 sentence stuff just doesn't work. So narrating the video presentation, if you can get a nice microphone, I use the Yeti mic by Blue. It's phenomenal. You just turn the gain all the way down and you sound like a DJ. You can't go wrong. Now, I was in a band for a while, so that kind of helps, but the narration really tells the story, and it does have an impact on not just the quality of the listing, but the interest. So one of the things I changed was including that with every single listing, and I'm not going to stop because it is a bit of extra work. The thing I started doing that I will not do anymore, I thought I was super cool telling people in the pandemic. We have a lot of American owners here along the coast, along Ontario's west coast. I know others that deal with cottage country. You experience the same thing. I was like, hey, I'm a dual citizen. I'll clear all this stuff out of your house and I'll bring all your stuff back to the States. And then I started offering people who couldn't get to their cottages, like, I got a trailer, and I'll not just like a moving trailer with my logo on it. I was helping them remove all this junk from their house. Yeah, I have gotten rid of all my trailers. I don't believe it would have made any difference in my business whatsoever if I didn't throw that in there. And it takes an enormous amount of time, and it's just not worth it. My focus should be on what I do well, which is the listing. So no more junk removal and taking stuff over the border for clients. Not again.
That is definitely full service. There's no doubt about that. But to that point, Mike, a lot of times there's maybe agents, and again, not a criticism, it just is what it is, that are helping paint or do other things. And as to your point, you focus on, and sometimes you need to do that, and sometimes that's great. And other times you get to the point where, as you are in your career, you don't have the time as much to do it. And what's the return on your investment? And you got to spend your time with your listings and other things.
It was a killer. It was a suck. I wasn't getting back to people. I mean, it was just, I had to step back and look at how much time I was wasting, like getting a baby grand piano out of one of my clients' listings. It's not a good situation. So I just don't, it's not like I don't bring it up anymore. Like, I literally got rid of all my trailers. So if somebody heard that I do that, I can just say, nope, sorry, you're going to get the best quality listing in the area, but I don't do moving anymore. I had to get rid of my trailer. It's gone.
There you go. There you go. That's good. Sarah, how about you?
Well, I think, the obvious thing that we've all started doing was Zoom meetings, right? So those virtual appointments, that's something that I'm going to continue to offer. Certainly if a client wants it, especially. And I think it was good. It was a good opportunity sort of thrown into it. We didn't have a choice. We had to learn how to do Zoom. I wasn't really familiar with Zoom before. So I think that was something that I'm definitely going to continue to offer my clients. Of course, stop doing open houses. And unlike Matt, I'm not going to go back to doing open houses. I didn't miss them at all. But I think that's just, an indication of just being a different age group and different point in your career. I didn't miss open houses. I will say that. And then something that I stopped doing that I really want to go back to would be wearing pants. to work. So I'm going to start wearing pants to work again. But personal visits with clients, that's something that I really missed. And I have started going back to doing some personal visits, and that's a really important part of my business. So it's key for me to get back to that. I want to get doing that, dropping by for coffee. A lot of my clients are seniors. Quite a few of them are single, and they really enjoy having a visit and feeling like things are normal. So I really want to get back to doing that. And client parties. I have a client event every single year, and I didn't have one obviously for the last 2 years. So that's something that as soon as we can, I will get back to organizing a client event for sure.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, we're all craving that human interaction, right? So, and that's, as realtors, you know, to Sarah's point, hey, having the technologies of Zoom is great, but on the other end, if we're losing that contact with our clients, you know, that's part of what we do is that interaction with our clients. So that's great answers. How about the next question, Shelby? And it kind of to Sarah's point here, in a time when face-to-face has been more difficult, what have you done to engage your database or your clients? Anybody? Mike, you want to start with that one?
Sure, I can do that. This answer will be a bit quicker. I was always kind of into anything built into a listing that was geo-based. So geography, like location-based factors, that kind of stuff. And since COVID, I have gone on overload with that. Like I literally build maps in Photoshops. I have lines drawing. I would always have the line to the beach and stuff like that. But now I make landmarks, and so even if you're not watching the video, which provides the same level of detail in terms of location-based annotations, I have graphics that are built into the listing that in themselves are a huge part of the presentation because people not necessarily being able to come out, or people now since COVID are exposing themselves to new markets they don't really know that well. So I explained, this is how close you are to downtown. This is how close you are to the medical center. This is how, like, these little things really matter, and just throwing them in a listing is great. But if you have graphics that actually show people where they are, it makes a big difference. I mean, I was already doing all the V tours and I was already doing drone work, but now I've just taken it to another level with identifying landmarks and distances. We can use in Geo Warehouse, we can use that tool that measures the distance for us to the foot. So I'm constantly using that and then drawing out these distances on maps. And you really do need to do drone work for that. And that goes back to my first answer, which is, I mean, if your listing is one of your top products in terms of you marketing yourself as a realtor, you need to offer all of these services with every listing. So definitely geography-based stuff. I've had people call me to ask me questions about my town that aren't even looking at my listings because they said they looked at one of my listings before and thought, well, this guy seems to know the most about Grand Bend. So that kind of stuff really helps.
That's great. So being the go-to, that's what you want, right? Providing value, providing information to people, and giving them, being a one-stop shop so they don't have to go anywhere else. Matt, how about you?
Yeah, so one thing I've done, and this kind of floats into the next question about technologies, is right from the get-go, I know Mark recommended it, but I started using BombBomb in addition to personal notes. So it's not, at first I thought it was kind of weird, but I'll only usually do it around, so if it's a 1-year anniversary of their house, I do birthdays, and I do the odd, like Christmas and things like that. I'll do like a happy holiday one. And usually I'll just say, hey, you know, congratulations, it's your 1-year anniversary. Have a look, there's something in the mail coming for you, which is like a $20 Starbucks gift card and things like that. And I found that that's been really well received. I also don't do BombBomb videos for everyone. So, you know, it's on a client to client basis. If I feel that someone might not be comfortable with that, I'm probably just not going to do it. Another thing I do, I mean, I'm 27 years old, so I kind of grew up with Instagram. I don't go seeking out my clients and following them, but a lot of times they'll end up following me. And then when I get to know them, I obviously know some of their interests. So again, I don't go overboard, but if I follow pages like the Humane Society, interior design, and if I have a client that I know is into that, once every 3-4 weeks, if I see something, I might fire it over to them in a direct message and be like, hey, thought you might find this interesting. And I have had people reply and was like, hey, I was just talking about you. I'm going to send you over, you know, a friend of mine who's looking. So a couple little things like that where, you know, face to face, you don't do those types of things like, hey, look at my phone. And I've found that that's helped. Also, I will offer, you know, pre-showing videos for those people who are uncomfortable. So if someone's out of town or they're uncomfortable, you know, I'll go book myself a showing, hop on FaceTime, which I know a lot of our agents do, just to try and, you know, provide that extra level of service. And then other than that, yeah, just try and be available, serviceable, and try and be a little different and help them out. So, yep.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, BombBomb is one of those things, right? Video communication. If you know, they talk about the different methods of communication and text and email and all these other things and face to face, voice to voice, and you know, email and text is so impersonal that you know your videos probably they show a little bit about who you are as a person. That's great. How about you, Sarah?
Well, Mark, this was a challenge for me because a lot of my clients are seniors, and
Yeah.
certainly there's and don't get me wrong, there's lots of seniors that know about technology for sure. But I couldn't assume that all of my clients would be up for BombBomb videos and following me on social media and that. So while I did do some of that, I really went more old school with my approach. So I went back to, I normally mail a birthday card in the mail. So what I did was I actually stopped all the birthday cards for mail and I put them all in my calendar with the client's phone number and put them in as appointments. And I actually phoned clients. Now, not every single one, but I tried my best. And I did actually phone people and wish them a happy birthday. And that went over really well because, you know, my clients were just so happy to hear a familiar voice. They were bored, especially at that very beginning of the pandemic when we were in lockdown and we were just watching the news all the time and everything seemed a little bit uncertain and weird. So I did go back to phoning clients more, doing birthday phone calls, and I did a lot of mail outs. So I was mailing out for any occasion I could think of, like Happy Easter, Happy Spring, Happy Mother's Day. I was doing crossword puzzles and I was sending out word searches and things to occupy people and trying to, you know, provide some kind of entertainment. I did a lot of porch drop-offs because I had to substitute what I would normally do for pop-bys and drop-bys. So I did drop things off at people's porches so that they knew I had at least driven by their house and had been there. Paige and I did spring planters. We did the shelter bulbs, those tulip bulbs. We did quite a few of those. We did poinsettias at Christmas time. And then one little thing I had to get a bit creative with, and I'm probably aren't very many people here that could do this, but really fortunate for me, my husband's a pilot and we have a little airplane. So when you couldn't go anywhere, you weren't even supposed to drive anywhere unless you're going to the grocery store. We would go for a flight and I text a couple of people and say, I'm going to fly over your house. So look up, I'm going to take a picture. And then I would text them a picture of their home and people were absolutely thrilled about this. They'd stand on their front lawn and wave. And it was just a little bit something fun and funny to do at the beginning when we were just struggling to find ways to stay in touch.
I think that's great. I mean, again, to your point, Sarah, not all your clients is the brokerage is the same as the clients of the agent. There's younger, older, some are going to be tech savvy, some are not. And sometimes you have to come up with different, more creative ideas that'll fit the people more. But I think the common thread amongst all three of you is that you were doing something on a consistent basis to keep in touch with people, provide them value, and just to see how they were doing during the pandemic. And again, whether it's technology or phone calls or drop-bys, pop-bys, things like that, I think that's fantastic. Great job. Shelby, how about the next one? So the next question is, have you added any new technologies into your business? And what would they be? Do you want to start with us, Sarah?
Sure. Of course, Zoom, we've talked about that. iGuide. So I was using iGuide on occasion. It wasn't a standard, product that I use, but now iGuide's just become basically standard. So that was something that I thought was really helpful. And with my assistant with Paige, we do a FaceTime more like we did on occasion, but now FaceTime's become like a regular thing with us throughout the day. And yeah, that's probably the most common things I would say. And I definitely during the beginning of the pandemic, I was doing, Matt touched on this, like virtual walkthrough. So I would go and preview a home myself, do a FaceTime call as a preview. And I think that that can be beneficial for clients that are out of town and you maybe just want to narrow down the search a bit for them. And it's kind of nice because you're not dealing with the whole family.
Awesome. That's great. Great job. How about you, Mike?
Actually, I was going to say the same thing about the Matterport technology. I know there's some fundamental differences between iGuide and Matterport. I actually was trying to look that up while we were talking about it there. Neither one of them have traditionally been very cheap, but as if timing was just meant to be, right at the beginning of the pandemic, Matterport had released technology that allows you to do the same as iGuide. So you can walk through the home and you get your room measurements done and you get your just basically a self-guided interior tour. Something that I would only include with very high-end listings prior to the pandemic, you can now do with an attachment for your smartphone. So I still don't do this myself. That's another thing I learned over the last several years is, you can't do everything. So, but what I was able to find was I found a multimedia guy that can do all of this in one package. He can do your iGuide with Matterport. He can do your drone work. He can do everything all in one, which makes a huge difference because then you can crisscross over with technology. But kind of like my narrated video that I started including with everything since the pandemic, I now include Matterport. I don't care if it's a 700 square foot cottage. We're doing the Matterport tour because I still have people on a weekly basis that have never experienced it before. And they're like, holy cow, I don't even need to come in. I could just push my way through with my finger and I've seen the whole place. And that doesn't always happen that way. There was one other thing, and things are always changing in the different social platforms. I still find Instagram to be the dominant force in our business in terms of actually getting traction from your marketing and generating leads. They started offering story highlights and me and my social media guy were all over that immediately. That way, because when you do Instagram stories, they disappear. And it's really annoying because when the pandemic hit, we were doing more and more of that. So with story highlights, that saves the best parts of that story in Instagram, especially if it's something that adds to the lifestyle side of your social presence because you don't want it to be all business. So that was the other thing I started doing was Instagram stories with story highlights. The story highlight, it like categorizes your hashtags above your Instagram layout. It's pretty cool.
Great. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, definitely Instagram we find as well is very powerful. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, so everything's still pretty new to me, but one thing that I've started to dive into a little more is the RLP Sphere, the CRM system. I would consider that a new technology. I am toggling between it and the Brian Buffini's CRM, and I'm going to stick with the RLP Sphere. But one thing I do too is listing videos, and I know not everybody's comfortable with those, but maybe one thing and one tip that I would recommend for people who even have Instagram is do some YouTubing on Instagram Reels. So they're super easy to do up. You can kind of do them by yourself. So a lot of times, or I'll do that as a coming soon. So I'll have my marketing or my video person, obviously do the virtual tour with me. But as far as a reel goes, you can make them really quick. And the way that the algorithm works on Instagram, I posted one of my dog. And if I posted a photo of my dog, it might get 60, 70 likes. But when I post an Instagram reel, I'm seeing like 2,000 to 3,000 views on that. And I don't know why that happens, but it happens on my coming soons as well. So I know that some agents, will say, hey, like I got 800 hits on this post. But if you start doing the Instagram reels, you might find there's more traction. And whether that turns into leads and things like that, I'm not sure. But Instagram Reels is one thing that is a technology within Instagram that maybe not a lot of people tap into, and of course that's associated with the whole TikTok thing. So I'm not on TikTok, but there's a lot of Instagram Reel stuff that you can get into, and it's going to help bring views to your page.
Great. And just for the people that aren't 100% on Instagram Reel, just a quick overview.
Yeah, so Instagram Reels. So when you post on Instagram, you can post a photo or you can post a video, and then they started making kind of what Mike had spoken about, your story. Usually you post a story where it's a video of what you're doing. So they kind of made a hybrid of that. It's just a different way to post, and it's called a reel. So usually it's like a 15 to 30-second little video that you clip together, and they provide all the music for you and transitions. So it's really super easy. It's kind of fun. And once you go on Instagram, if you click on reels, you'll probably find yourself down the rabbit trail of watching all these funny things. And I guess what's happened with me when I post a reel, it just starts popping up on, you know, different pages of people who, like, usually I'll get 80 likes, let's say in an hour, and only 20 of those people follow me. So it's all kinds of people, and I'm not a creep, but I'll click on their account and I'm like, oh, they're not too far away. So it's just one different way that if you're already on Instagram, maybe try and look into reels. And like I said, you don't have to do this big production video. You can just do a couple shots, and, you know, your clients are going to be happy. It's fun. There's music, and you might get some more views.
Awesome. Great tip. Thank you for clarifying that for us old people here. How about the next one? So we'll go next question. What is something in your business that works to find buyers and sellers regardless of the pandemic? Sarah, you want to start with that?
Sure. I have to say I get a real kick out of hearing Matt talk, because I was thinking, like, when I was 27 years old, what kind of technology was I crushing, you know? And I was emailing, and I think Expedia might have been, I think maybe I was booking flights on Expedia. I don't even know. Like, this is just amazing, Matt. I think it's so great that you're teaching us all this stuff. But something I think to find buyers and sellers, regardless of the pandemic, for me, I've always done farming. So basically my business started 10 years ago with farming one little community, and then it kind of grew from that primary community. I started farming. I have 5 communities now that I farm. So, like, I think that it doesn't matter if it's a pandemic or if it's not a pandemic. If you have something in place, which for me was farming, and you are consistent and you just continue to do it, then whether it's good times or bad times, people, I think they appreciate seeing that familiar face. I think people like to know that when the world was upside down, I was still there in some form or another. So that was something consistent. I did change my content a little bit because I was nervous a little bit about farming at the beginning. I thought I was concerned that people would think I was soliciting and pushing when we didn't even know if we were supposed to be showing homes or not. So I did change a little bit to be less solicity and become a little bit more, I'm here for you. Like, if you have any questions or if you have a concern or anything you need to talk about. So I tried to adapt the tone to the times and be sensitive to what people were going through. But I think that farming is timeless, and now I could probably say that it's pandemic proof.
So do you mind me asking a real quick follow-up question? Just real quick. What kind of activities do you do within your farming? Can you just go over that real quick?
Yeah, so I do mail outs, consistent mail outs in the beginning of the year. I do like in January, I do a 3-strike mail out. So I mail out a calendar, and then I mail out a brochure, and then I mail out a postcard. So hopefully one of those 3 things will end up in someone's junk drawer or on their fridge. And then I do, in the communities that I'm already established in, I do a lot of sponsorship. So I do community events. I donate prizes for if there's something going on, auction or charity events. I have client parties in the community, and I just try to keep in touch with all my clients that I have there. And then as they grow, it just grows.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you. Maddie, how about you? I mean, you've only been in the pandemic, so maybe this might not be a long answer.
Yeah, true. But the number one thing for me is meeting people. I was fortunate to someone in my kind of extended life who was very, very successful. Sometimes, like, if I know someone who's had a good career in anything they do, or they just have good advice, I'll kind of ask them, like, you know, what would you tell yourself back then? And it's kind of corny, but it's kind of not. And one person who was really successful told me if they could go back 30 years in time, they would tell themselves to never turn down an opportunity to meet someone. They might just change their life. And I have found, like, I'm not from KW. I love KW, but I wasn't really well connected when I moved here. I've joined a golf course, and like I said, I do some volunteering. So I've started to, get some good friends and things like that. But I found that this summer, and even in years past, every time I meet someone, real estate sometimes or oftentimes will come up. It's not really something I try and bring up, but and right after that, I'll get a call from them, or in 2 weeks down the road, they'll refer a friend to me. So for me, even though I love to be a social person, I need to continue to learn how to meet more people. And I find that, again, every time I'm meeting someone new, something's coming out of it, not always for me, but whether I'm helping that or referring them somewhere else. So I think if you can find things that you like to do, because it's hard sometimes for people to go out and door knock, like that's not really a great way to meet someone, but maybe if you love animals and you can do an event at the Humane Society, or you have friends going out. A lot of times now I'm feel like I'm getting older and I think, I'm not going to go out. And, like I said, when I don't go out, I'm not going to be meeting people. So I need to just continue to meet people. And I think that's a great way for you to get buyers and sellers.
I don't know if he's getting older, then I might be done.
Well, I mean, usually 20, 21, you're going out to the bar or whatever you do, you have some fun.
Yeah.
And now I don't do as much as that. So for example, I didn't join my golf courses curling, and that's all I've thought about. I don't like curling. I don't really want to curl, but I'm already instantly regretting it because I know that it's a good way to meet people, whether it's for personal or for work. So I think
Good
just
point.
meeting people.
Good point. Good point. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, Matt, I guess the rest of us are retiring if you're getting old. That's why I started laughing when you said that.
Sorry.
I would echo a lot of the same stuff some of the other guys said. Like, it always goes back to your sphere of influence. So Matt, where you're meeting all these new people, once you get one of them on your side or, into your family from a real estate perspective, that more new people will come from that person. I mean, I got to the point last year because I'm in a smaller community where it's almost like I can't even handle the amount of buyers that call me. And I started paying attention to the amount of buyers that were, because as soon as real estate starts getting like it's been, I mean, this is like this low inventory with this buyer frenzy, everybody wants to get in. It's just like a stock, right? So the one thing I've learned that never fails is having listings. Don't worry if you have listings, if you can always have a couple listings at a time. Right now, I only have 2 online. That's very, very low for me. I push so hard for listings. No matter what I do, I push and push and push. I'll have weeks where buyers are calling me, leaving random messages. I might not even get back to them, which I hate, but I get that busy. But listings leads to signage, which leads to referrals. The buyers are all going to come from that. Without listings, I think a lot of us know that those people in the office that had no listings going into the pandemic, that the pandemic like cut out the middle class of realtors. If you didn't have listings, all the buyers you had were just getting outbid on every deal to the point where a lot of them just gave up. They got priced out of the market. But if you have listings, you're participating in that every time. And buyers that are prepared to pay those prices will come from those listings. So I teach real estate at Fanshawe now. It's one of my elective courses. Obviously, Humber got the course, but I teach like a survey course on a career in commission sales, with real estate being the topic. And there's a couple different classes where I basically say, if you don't plan on having listings and piecing together this gorgeous piece of marketing, don't become a realtor. Don't be that realtor that's like, I'm a buyer realtor. It's not going to work. And the pandemic proved it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mike. I mean, and that's, I've been to over 20 years and I know there's a lot of people on this call much longer than that. And that has been the tried and true statement is 2 things: is listers last, and then consistency, which is something Sarah talked about. In whatever it is that you're doing, you got to be consistent at it. And to your point, Mike, using those listings as a vehicle, not only to get more business, but to promote yourself and the way you do your business is a huge component of things nowadays. So that's a great thoughts there. Okay, last question for you folks. Was there anything within the brand, say Royal LePage, that you found helped with your business during the last 18 months here? How about Sarah?
I knew you were going to pick me.
Sorry.
Well, I think like it's always beneficial to have a strong brand behind you, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a pandemic or it's not a pandemic. Like if you're with a brand that's reputable and the public is familiar with, that's going to be a kind of a sense of security for, I think, for the public. And then, you know, for us as realtors, I think it's reassuring to know that you've got strong leadership in your brand, right? So like you've got someone like Phil Soper, he's steering the ship. Like what other company would you want to be with when things are kind of upside down? So I think like just knowing that, okay, from the top all the way through, from Phil Soper all the way through the local branch management, you know that those resources are there, that it's a big corporation, that they're not going to drop the ball, and that that leadership's accessible to everyone all the way through the corp. So I think that was good, because I really felt like during, you know, I kind of feel like we're past all this, but at the beginning of the pandemic, like I really had to concentrate on my own shit. So I hope I can swear, but I do sometimes swear from time to time. So I think like I could concentrate on my own little micro business and really think about what I needed to do to keep my act together. And I didn't have to worry about what was going on. I knew that the support was there and big decisions were going to be handled by professionals. And I just don't think you could get that anywhere else.
That's great. Appreciate it. Mike, how about you?
My answer is going to be much more related to people. I think some of us would agree that the logo on your sign, well, it definitely plays a role. I don't want to play it down like it. I ended up at Royal LePage because I followed certain people here. Adam and Cheryl Miller sort of liaised me into the business, and they've been incredible. It's just, okay, maybe I should just come clean on this. I really push the envelope when it comes to marketing. And there's a lot of things I've gotten involved in that somehow the board doesn't like. And it's more so for me to know that I have people like Adam Miller and Peter Meyer, especially, just to basically tell people, no, we got Sloan taken care of. Don't worry about it. He's okay. I need that support, because I think all of us would agree, especially the four of us on this panel, once you get to this level of business where there's this much volume happening, I need to be able to pick up the phone and call Adam and call Peter and say, hey, I got this going on. I need an answer right now. I need you guys to help me. And they're there. And I can't say that I would have that if I was somewhere else. And I think that's one of the best things about these Royal LePage offices, is that just the massive support. And God, I just got one. Like, what was it, Adam? It was pretty interesting. Adam and Peter got this email from someone else's buyer who was really unhappy that he got this house without eaves troughs, and was going on about how he's going to like go to the media and send Royal LePage down the river. And they were just like, yeah, they just took care of it. Like I told them my side of the story, but and I feel like in other offices, you know, our brokers might say, hey, what are you doing here? Deal with it yourself. And
Right.
At Royal LePage, at any Royal LePage office, and especially mine, Royal LePage Dryland, I have guys that just perpetually have my back.
That's good. That's good to know. And again, to Sarah's point, you know, whether it's the top level or it's the local level, right? Matt, you want to finish off this?
Yeah, so obviously echoing the brand recognition, but if I can speak quickly to our brokerages, well, we have a couple of them themselves, and Mark as a leader, you know, the full support, the mentorship, you know, I'm part of the mentor program, so that's been such a big help to me. You know, Mark runs himself 2 training sessions a week that I participated in that really helped me hit the ground running. And then it's the other mentors, I call them, all the agents in my office. A lot of these agents are high performing agents that came from Remaxes and different brokerages. So for me, it's really reassuring to know that we have a lot of quality people that come here, and it's a very nice family oriented atmosphere. And for me, you know, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in without all their support. And that's the fellow Royal LePagers, whether that's referrals, helping out with listings. You know, I would say 80%, 70% of my business honestly has come from just working with other agents within the office, and then referrals coming from them. So again, that umbrella under, you know, Royal LePage is pretty special, I find. I obviously haven't been doing it for very long, and I know that people do move over from from group to group, but I don't foresee that ever happening for me. I really am happy here, and it's the support from Mark and then all our other Royal LePagers across the country. So yeah, very happy and proud to be a part of Royal LePage.
I appreciate it. And, you know, sometimes you think of within Royal LePage, to Sarah's point, the resources that we have because we are such a big company, to the leadership of someone like Phil Soper, or even just the company in general with the pandemic fee relief program that they came out to try and offset, you know, anything that might go wrong. The resources that we had from head office and from your brokerages on you know, COVID clauses and all the different, you know, things that you needed to go through. You know, technology and all that aside, there's a lot of great stuff that that we all get to enjoy. And something like this, banding together, you know, we've got 190 some odd people on this call today. These are things that, you know, if you're a small independent, you just don't have this kind of information sharing available. So on that note, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Matt. You guys did a great job. We appreciate your time and your expertise and the fact that you're willing to share things about your business. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, on that note, hitting cleanup here for your Southwestern Ontario Speaker Series. As I said before, is Dimitrios Kalogeropoulos. I gotta ask him how good I was at saying, is it Kalogeropoulos?
To get a group in here to watch it.
Oh, this
Got
guy.
it. This guy's really good.
It's my own name and I
The
can
guy
barely
that's gonna talk about the 10 things he's doing.
Kelly, you wanna,
Okay.
Are you watching?
Kelly, you wanna get that first, please? All right, DK, I think we're good.
Hey,
Sorry
buddy.
about that.
No,
All
I
right.
said- I was saying you did great. That's my own name and I can barely say it, so don't even worry
All
about it.
right, not bad then. Okay, let me do a brief intro so these guys get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
So obviously, Agent DK serving Royal LePage Team Realty in the Ottawa area. Superstar Agent DK is affectionately known, born and raised in a financially struggling family. Every aspect of his top agent status was earned through hard work and grit and determination. He's been recognized as being among the top 1% of realtors in Canada, ranking number 69 out of over 18,000 agents for gross earnings and number 59 for units. Top Agent Magazine named DK one of the top agents in North America in 2020. Real Estate Professional Magazine has named him among the top 100 agents in Canada. He's been a recipient of the Royal LePage National Chairman's Club, Emerald, Red Diamond, Diamond and Directors Platinum, and Sales Achievement. I think you hit every rung on the ladder pretty much. And with over 200 closed transactions per year and a small but dedicated team, he's well positioned to maintain his top agent status for many years to come. Mr. DK, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And man, is it ever awkward when people are talking about your accolades?
Yeah.
That was super awkward. The best part was when you mentioned my team because it's my face there, but I'm nothing without my team. So thank you for the generous. I mean, I gave you the introduction, so I guess it's my fault, but.
Hey, no problem. No problem. We want to give everybody a little bit of an overview of who you guys are.
Yeah.
And now you've got a few things to share. So take the floor, sir. I will defer it to you here, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for asking me to participate. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful to be able to contribute to my colleagues and to the industry that's been so good to me. So first and foremost, thank you. I think contribution is the best thing we can do as professionals for our industry. You're going to see me panning to the right. It's not because I'm cross-eyed. It's because I've got 4 monitors and I made notes. So just in case, I am looking at you. I'm with you. 41 years old, been in the business 9 years, 7 of 9 chairmans. All of the points that I'm going to share with you helped me build, grow, and sustain my business. And especially during the pandemic, it helped me get through it. So although I'm not really touching on pandemic proofing and specifically what did I do, everything I did was what I'm going to share with you during the pandemic, okay? So first I'm going to start with 10 things that I did and that I think everyone should do in order to achieve the level of success that you desire. And again, just before I begin, success is measured in a lot of different ways. Some people measure it by money, some people measure it by health, some people measure it by number of ends. So this is not all about money. And I just want to make that clear because there's many different ways of defining success and not everyone's definition is the same. I also want to put a caveat that I'm not saying that everything that I've done is the only way to run. Like, there's so many different ways to run a real estate business. Am I right? So there's no right or wrong answer. Okay. So there you go. There's the disclaimers. All right. So 10 things you need to do, or things that I did. Number one, I created and I worked to maintain a strong and positive mindset. In my opinion, and the way I was taught, 90% of it is up here. And if your mindset is not positive, if your mindset isn't prepared for this business, you're not going to have a fun time, and it's really not going to be enjoyable. So I was taught many moons ago that your ego is the biggest expense that you will ever have in real estate. So I removed the ego a very long time ago. And I decided, okay, if I want to keep a positive mindset, what do I need to do? I started reading 4 to 5 books a month that were putting positive messages into my head. I would take mindset breaks throughout the day. I love comedy. I love music. So if anyone's ever followed me on Instagram, you'll see that around 5 o'clock, I start singing, and that's usually when everyone leaves. I'm constantly filling my mind with positive and energetic energy, because I find this business is so draining and it sucks so much of my life force out of me that I have to constantly keep pumping myself full of positivity to ensure that I'm at the highest level, because when the phone rings, that person deserves the same level of service that the person at 9 o'clock got that, at 6 o'clock PM. So surround myself with positive, enthusiastic people. They always say you're the sum of the 5 people you surround yourselves with. That's so critical in this business, more so than ever during the pandemic. And I would revisit my goals daily and often. So every single year we set goals. Every single year we post them. They're here, they're at home. My kids know about my goals. My family knows about them. So these are just some of the ways that I work to create, maintain a positive mindset. Number 2, clear, defined, specific goals. This kind of rolls in from the first one. So I'm going to ask you all, are your goals sexy enough? And what do I mean by sexy? Many years ago, my goals were fear-based. So my goals were like, I really hope I can pay the mortgage. I really hope I can make this payment. I really hope I can get out of overdraft protection. My financial situation was much different 10 years ago. That's not really inspiring. It's not really something to get you out of bed. I'm not saying to make it materialistic. Maybe it can be something that's about helping other people, because what I realized that if your goal is something big, you will pay the bills. You will take care of your financial obligations, right? So do you have that burning desire to win, and how bad do you want it? And if your goals are not big enough, that's probably why you're not motivated enough. Okay. And they might be fear-based. So you might want to look at your goals and say, okay, maybe make it something more exciting. I'll give you an example. This is shallow and whatever, but when I watched Iron Man for the first time and I saw him drive in an R8, an Audi R8, I was in the movie theater and I said, holy crap, that is a beautiful car. I'm not even a car guy, but I just thought this is a beautiful car. I'm going to buy that car before I'm 40 years old. And at, I don't know, when that movie came out when I was 30, at 39 and a half, I bought the car. And here's the kicker. Every single person that I told, like that I could run into, I would tell them my goal is to buy an Audi R8. So guess what would happen? Every time I saw them, did you buy the car? Did you buy the car? Did you buy the car? Accountability, right? I sold the car now because it was just something silly and I did it, got out of my system. But the point is, along the way, I bought my mom a house. I told her she could retire. I paid off all my bills. Like the boring stuff got taken care of. Do you know what I'm saying? So make your goals exciting. Again, some people are motivated by pleasure. Some people are motivated by pain. Which are you? And you have to really sit down and analyze what is your style so that you can make sure that you're achieving your goals. Number 3, I got massive accountability. I got into coaching pretty much right when I started my career. I don't care what coaching company you go with, just get a coach. People ask me sometimes, even now, why do you still have a coach? Why did Michael Jordan still have a coach? Why did Tiger Woods? Why did Wayne Gretzky, like even the best in the world, still have coaches? I think that the second we think we know everything, that's when we start to decline. I'm still learning every single day in this business. So accountability is big for me and my personality style. And I would highly encourage all of you to get a coach if you don't have one, or a mentor of some sort. They say, this is coming from one of the books I'm reading now, you're 39.5% more likely to achieve a goal if it's written down. Your success rate increases to 76.7% by simply sharing your goals with someone. So it almost doubles just by telling people what your goals are. It's pretty powerful stuff. Which brings me to the power of proximity. I got into a mastermind group and never left. My mastermind group is composed of top agents all across North America. These are people all at the top of their game. How can you not grow when you're surrounding yourself with people like that? We talk once a week, we share ideas. We're like a board of directors for each other. And we're not each other's competitors, so we're more willing to share. This is a very lonely business, whether you're at the bottom or at the top, right? So it's nice to have a collective of people that are like-minded and that lift you up when you're down and that you can bounce ideas off of. Success leaves clues. So if you want to have what others have, you got to do what they do. And I surrounded myself with people that were doing a hell of a lot more than me. And I'm now happy to say that I've joined them for the ride because I had no choice but to elevate to their game to stay with them. I got accountability for my health. Got a personal trainer, you know, just like anything in my life, I'm better with accountability. I just finished today a 90-day Fit for Life challenge. I lost 35 pounds. I feel incredible. I'm in the best shape of my life. Been working out 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. I'm up at 4 a.m. I'm at the gym at 5 and I'm home for 7. Walk the dog, see the kids. I'm at the office for 8:30. I used to have the excuse, there's no time. There's always time for something that's important. You'll make the time. So I'm very proud of that. The best shape of my life. And that was very, very difficult. I went to Kelowna for the Chairman's Club retreat. Guess what all the activities were? Wineries. 7 wineries, not 1, 7. And I wasn't drinking alcohol and I wasn't eating carbs or anything fun. So yeah, not easy. Number 4, upgrade everything in your life. So how you do anything is how you do everything. That's how I was taught. And, you know, once, I'll give you an example. This is extreme, but this is true. And this happened last week, by the way. We didn't get a client. We didn't get a buyer signed up. And I asked for feedback. I called the client and said, you know, to improve our business, I'd really like to know what happened. And the potential buyer said, the agent on your team didn't get my name right. So I'm wondering what else will they not get right? So how you do anything is how you do everything in a lot of people's minds. And that stuck with me 10 years ago, and it's still true now. So upgrade as much as you can. Your clothes, upgrade your clothes. If you can't afford it, you can go to Winners, you can go to Tip Top, get a suit, you can dress it up and make it look nice. Your skills. If your closing ratio is not where you want it to be, work on your skills. Your attitude. Maybe you wake up with not so great an attitude. Maybe you got to, you know, do a mental checkup and make sure that you have the right positive attitude for this business. Your expectations. Are your expectations in alignment with your goals? Upgrade your expectations. Expect the best out of every result. Do you walk up to a house and it doesn't look so good and you're like, oh shit, look at this dump? You know, are you excited about the opportunity to help this person? Sometimes you have to upgrade your friends. And this isn't about money or status. This is just about mindset and positivity. Upgrade the conversations you're having. Upgrade the books you're reading. Upgrade the pen that you're signing a deal with. I used to sign my deals with like a Bic. You know, a lot of people are signing digitally now, but you get the point. It's very important to constantly upgrade everything in your life. You can't afford a new car, that's okay, wash it. Upgrade something. Number 5, I learned the power of not being attached to the outcome. This was very big for me, and this is very hard when you don't have a lot going on. If you only have 1 or 2 deals going on at any time, you're going to be attached to the outcome because you need that money. So I learned to never celebrate for too long, and I learned to never be too hard on myself for too long. I find that if you celebrate for too long, you can get complacent. And I found that if I'm too hard on myself for too long, I'd really beat myself up. You don't need to do that. This is a hard enough business as it is. The world will beat you down. You don't have to beat yourself down. So stay positive and keep the emotions between the lines. The clients need us to be the calming force in the transaction. They don't need us to freak out with them. And remember, the more you generate business, the less you have to tolerate. So the busier you are, it's okay if 1 or 2 deals falls apart. And by the way, deals falling apart should be in your business plan. So in other words, if our goal was 200 transactions this year, I set a goal of 8 deals falling apart. That way, when a deal falls apart, you're not getting down or surprised or sad. It's going to happen. Everyone has deals falls apart. Even if you do everything right, there's always going to be stuff that's out of your control. So when you put that in the business plan, it's all part of the plan. What does that do? Removes the emotion. Because we have other people that need our services, or maybe that same person needs us to resell that house again or whatever it is. So again, the more you generate, the less you have to tolerate. The busier you are, the less you care about not getting a deal done. And sometimes you can do everything right and still not get the desired outcome. This is just something I learned along the way. And we have a philosophy in our team: you either win or you learn. There's no losing. The only way you lose is if you don't take action. Number 6, got heavily focused on customer service. The definition of customer service in our industry is communication. And the biggest complaint in our industry is what? I never heard from my agent, either during the transaction or after the transaction. So I took that to heart, and we communicate with our clients a minimum of 3 times a week during the transaction until it firms up, and then once a week on average until it closes. And then to focus on customer service, we worked a lot on versatility training, on the personality styles. If you want to give better service, you need to really understand who your clients are. And our goal was to make every client feel like they're the most important client or the only client we have. Often people only stick to the personality type that is similar to them, but then we're not really giving good service because we're not really knowing, the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. It's really treat people the way they want to be treated. So we do a lot of training and coaching on my team on the personality styles and the development of that. Number 7, treat the team like gold, treat them like family. I'm Greek, very passionate people. We like to feed people. We like to, we treat this like a family. And I've tried to create a culture of family, respect, and open communication here on the team. We have 2 trainings per week, a lunch and learn as well on Fridays, where I pay for lunch and we come in and we do some training. We have team trips. Last year I took my team, or pre-pandemic, took my team to Las Vegas. If we hit our team goal, I promised them a trip on my dime. We went, we had a fantastic time. Team bonuses, holiday gatherings. And I always do this new agent integration thing where when I hire somebody, usually I always ask that realtor to bring their spouse, if they have one, to introduce them to the rest of the team, because they're spending so much time here. I want them to get to know who they're spending all this time with. So we really treat this like a family, and it really does feel like that here. Number 8, I focused a lot on future pacing. So what does that mean? Future pacing our clients and my team. I find that you always hear like, hey, we're going to have March Madness. We're going to have a September to remember. If you want to have March Madness, you need to dominate December. So like wherever you are now is because of what you did 3-6 months ago. So if you're not where you want to be right now, don't think of what's going on right now or what's going wrong now. Think of where you were 3 to 6 months ago and think, what was I doing then? Oh yeah, I was on vacation. I was sick. I wasn't prospecting. I wasn't working. So we're constantly future pacing. And if you aren't where you want to be now, like I said, you need to look back. And we're always telling our clients what to expect next. I find that our Google reviews went through the roof, and our communication, because our communication was elevated, we got less calls and less frustrated clients because they're always knowing what's going to happen next. That's all they ever want to know, right? Okay, we signed a listing. Now what? We got an offer accepted. Now what? So we have a seamless engine now that tells them constantly what's going to be happening, and people are much calmer and more relaxed. And we also tell them when it's going to happen. The only problem with this is you got to actually follow through. So if you're going to tell someone you're going to do something, you better do it. Otherwise, there's no integrity, right? So we do the same thing with our team. If you do this, we will go here. If you achieve this goal, we will celebrate in this way. So that's number 8. Number 9, protect your mornings. This is really critical. So I call it my miracle morning routine. You have to have a miracle morning to have a successful day. I already told you I'm up at 4, I work out at 5. If I don't do that, I'm not working out when I get home. It's just not going to happen. I've got 2 kids. I got a new puppy. It's just not going to happen. So I start my day with some affirmations. I visit my goals and my vision board. I read something positive. I go to the gym. I work out. I eat something very healthy for breakfast. I role play with some role play partners still every single day. Role play objections, role play anything really. Call leads and clients. The mornings are for making money. The afternoon is for servicing money. So basically in our office, the philosophy is if you've done this by noon, you've already won the day. It doesn't really matter what happens the rest of the day because you've done your job. So create a strong morning schedule and stick to it at all costs, no matter what. Now we're real estate agents. Will things take you off your schedule? Of course they will. It's unrealistic to think it won't. But the important thing is to have a schedule so that when you get thrown off, you can say, oops, got to go back to my schedule. You got to treat it like a business. Like if you worked somewhere else and you strolled in at 10 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock when you were supposed to be there, what would happen? You'd get fired. well, we become real estate agents, so we don't have to have accountability. But the truth is, the realtors at the top of the game have the most accountability. Kind of ironic. Again, this all depends on what kind of goals you have. And number 10, avoid distractions. That could be staff, that could be family, that could be yourself. Have a tight schedule, share it with everyone, give your schedule to your family, your clients, and your staff. I realized that a lot of my distractions was my mom, my Greek mother. So like, you know, she loves me and she'd call me 10 times a day. Mom, you can't call me from this time to this time. As soon as I did that, she's like, okay, why didn't you tell me that? Right? Sometimes it's your family. So turn off social media, turn off your phone, and make sure that you're avoiding all distractions at all costs, because this weapon of mass distraction can kill you. Those are the 10 things that I did and I felt like I needed to do. The 10 things you need to stop doing, I'm going to go much faster because it's a shorter list and it's self-explanatory. And then I can take some questions if there's time or if anyone's still here. So some of the things you need to stop doing. Number 1, I never left coaching since the beginning. Stop stopping. If you got a coach and you stopped because it didn't work, chances are you didn't work. So either get a new coach or whatever, but coaching often doesn't work until the 3rd or 6th month or whatever, until your ego can handle it. So you need to stop stopping if you have accountability or coaching. Number 2, stop arguing or having to be right. You can be right or you can be rich. That's another thing I was taught back in the day. And by the way, when's the last time you proved someone wrong and got your way? Like, you might be able to prove a client wrong or another agent wrong, but you're going to lose in the end. So don't disagree with people. I'm not saying agree with them, just don't disagree with them. And don't ever make someone wrong. Again, this is my list. Number 3, stop comparing myself to others. Winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. I used to compare myself to other people a lot, and it bothered me a lot. You know, I think that's normal. I think we all do that. Why him? Why not me? You know, whatever. As soon as I stopped doing that and I started being happy for other people and saying, you know what, good for them. You know, I'm happy for them. They work their asses off too. They deserve success. I just find when you come from gratitude and when you come from a place of being happy for other people, good things happen to you too. So stop comparing yourself to others unless it serves to motivate you. If you look at someone and say, you know what, I want to be like that person, I'm going to reach out to them and see what makes them tick. That's a good thing. But if you find you're comparing yourself to others and it brings you down, stop. Number 4, eliminate toxic people out of your life. Clients, friends, staff, maybe, whatever it is, get rid of them. I mean, that's self-explanatory. Number 5, stop watching the news and social media unless you're doing it to spread positivity. I haven't watched the news in 10 years. You might think I'm an idiot. You might think I'm not informed. Trust me, I found out about the pandemic without watching the news. If something is serious, it'll come my way. I'll find out about it. But when is the last thing anything good was on the news? It's always horrible. It's always so negative. Sometimes I go to the gym and I'm on the treadmill and the news is in front of me. I got to turn it off because it's always bad, right? Because bad news sells. So I personally do not watch the news. I do partake in social media, but I try to be positive on there. Number 6, stop trying to please everybody. You never will. Many times, you know, I've done everything right and I still didn't make people happy. I remember my lawyer once said to me when I first got in this game, he said, "You're going to get sued one day." And I said, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, for nothing." Because everyone gets sued sometimes in a real estate transaction. So you will get sued one day, just so you know. I'm like, okay, hasn't happened yet, knock on wood. But I stopped trying to please everyone because I realized that I will never be able to. And in doing so, you just create that negative mindset for yourself. Number 7, remove the emotion out of the transaction. I already told you guys about that. And number 8, stop trying to find balance. This is a tricky one. There's a huge push now for balance. If you truly want to excel at anything at the highest level, something will suffer. Like if you want to be the best real estate agent, something is going to suffer. If you want to be in the best shape of your life, something will suffer, right? You won't be able to eat that burger. You won't be able to spend as much time doing other things that you love. So choose what you want to focus on and go hard, unless you want to be average. But if you want to excel at a very, very high level, and most people that I know that excel at things at a very high level, whether it's music, sports, business, or whatever, they're excelling because something else, they're putting so much time and effort into this one thing and they get obsessed with it. And obviously other things will have to suffer. My philosophy personally, you know, pre-pandemic, I was gone 160 days a year. I was in Greece for a month, Vegas 4 or 5 times a year, Disneyland. So I would work my ass off for 3 months, then go away. Work my ass off for 3 months, then go away. And At least that was how we tried to make it work. Number 9, stop looking back. I used to not get a listing and look back to see who got it, look back to see what it sold for, look back to see did they go with the price that I suggested, and that I'm telling you, it's not a good way to be. You didn't get the listing, work on your skills, stop looking back, and be happy for the person that got it. Don't be pissed. The rear view mirror is smaller than the windshield for a reason. Look forward, always look forward. Number 10, and the last point that I have is stop procrastinating. Don't put off tomorrow what can be done today. After you've made your to-do list, I don't know if you do this, but I do it every morning. I identify the top 3 to 5 things on that to-do list, and I call that my success list. And if I've achieved those 3 to 5 things, I know that I've already won the day. And typically those are the most difficult things. So stop procrastinating and do the most important thing so you can have a productive day. That's my stuff.
Mr. DK, that was rapid fire. That was excellent, my friend. Very well done. You know, the interesting thing, first thing I can say was right when you come on here, I'm looking beside you, and you can tell someone's successful when they've got work while they sleep, learn while they party, save while they spend, and live like they dream. And you know, there's so much to that, and you know, it's again, just very apropos, I thought. You know, one of the other things I love that you said is don't be attached to the outcome. And you've heard that saying, it's be more about the process.
Yeah.
Right. If you focus on the process and not the outcome will be there. If you're thinking of that commission check down the line,
yeah,
rather than the process, it's going to suffer. Right. So, I mean, fantastic insights. We're open to questions, guys. We got a couple minutes here. If anybody has any questions, I know there's a lot of great feedback here. I know you've got some people that want to adopt you, obviously taking care of your family. Oh, here we go. Here's one. What are the top picks of books you've read this past year?
I knew you were going to ask me that. So I read 50 books a year. I can email you a list. Mark, maybe it's the books that I've read. Right now, I'm reading the top 5 regrets of people on their deathbed. It sounds gruesome, but it's actually quite good. It's quite uplifting. And I'll just share with you, the number 1 complaint of people that are on their deathbed is that they lived a life to please other people, and they didn't live a life to please themselves. I don't know, a really good book. I've cried like 900 times. I'm on chapter 1, but I love reading, you know, anything empowering or they can give me some sense of motivation or inspiration. So I read a lot. Some of them are short, some of them are long, but I'll email you a list of books that I've read and that I'm reading. Yeah. And then you can share them if you like. Absolutely.
You know, one of the other things, DK, that you mentioned, and it just comes across in your personality and is positivity. You know, it can be such an up and down business, you know, whether you've got to have a bad day or you dealt with a bad, you know, or what we perceive as a bad client or a deal falls apart. You know, there's a lot of there's a lot of challenges and a lot of hurdles that we have to overcome, right? You know, if you're talking about prospecting, right, they say, or e-leads or anything, you know, the conversion rates are so low, and it's that having that positive mindset is such a key indicator. And you talk about with your health, feeling better. So not only do you gotta feel mentally better, physically better, and all those lead to keeping that positive mindset, which keeps you probably consistent and wise is a big reason for your success, right?
Yeah. So Mark, you made some really good points. So the reason why people are not positive, or the reason why people get down, is because they lack one thing. And I'm very lucky to have had this thing for a long time, and that's called perspective. Like, we sit here and we bitch and complain. Oh, I got this buyer. We've made 5 offers. Other people wish they had a buyer. You understand? Oh, I've got this seller who won't listen to me. Other people wish they had a seller. Like, have perspective and be grateful. And as soon as you approach life with gratitude, abundance will come to you. But if you approach everything like a trial or a tribulation, come on. I used to clean toilets, for God's sake. You know, I used to clean buildings from 11 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning, then sleep in my car. Then I'd go sell TVs to help pay for my sister's wedding. So don't tell me that you're complaining because someone hung up on you or because an agent was rude to you. Get over it. You know, like, there's bigger things in life. Let's be honest. We're realtors. We make very good money. We dress very well. We drive nice cars. We're not out there painting a ceiling with paint dripping down our faces. Like, I hear people say we're grinding. Grinding? My dad was a chef for 50 years. His hands shake from all the cooking. That's grinding. So I think that people lack perspective, and that's why they're so unhappy. So if you ever find yourself bitter or bitching, get some perspective, because you're actually in quite a good place. And a lot of people would wish to be in your shoes right now. So remember
Yeah,
that.
well said. Well said. Well said. And that goes with surrounding yourself with positive people as well. A couple other questions here. Top marketing plan tips.
I'm sorry, top marketing tips?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been in the
Yes.
business 9 years. We do 200 deals a year. I've done 10 flyers. I'm not a big marketer. Honestly, I door knock, I cold call, I do just listed, just sold. I go to FISBOs. I'm old school. I know that's weird. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not a big marketer. I apologize. I'm a big prospector. I prospect every day. Yesterday, I was door knocking. I was freezing my ass off and I was door knocking. We hit 30 doors. I got 4 leads. So it's profitable, it's duplicatable, and it's predictable. Marketing is not predictable or duplicatable. Like, for example, if I spend $10,000 on flyers, how many people will call me? I don't know. But I know if I knock on 100 doors, I'll get 5 listings. So again, old school, old fashioned, not everyone's cup of tea. Someone's going to get mad. If you're mad, you can text me later and tell me you're mad. I'm not saying marketing doesn't work. It does work. It's just expensive. And my philosophy is somebody will always outspend me. So why spend it? I'd rather spend the money on my clients and taking care of my database, which is what I do. I do some pretty kick-ass parties. If you want to call that marketing, I throw some pretty kick-ass parties for my clients. Hello? Did I just kill the room? Oh, by the way, Mark, if you're still here, I promised a donation of $5,000 to the Shelter Foundation if we got 250 attendees. We didn't hit the target, but I'm still going to make a donation of $1,000 to the Shelter Foundation because I think it's a good cause, and we got close. But you can't reward mediocrity. I can't give 5 for the 150. Hopefully, some of you will donate.
Hey, that is fantastic. We much appreciate that. You know, we got I think it was around 200. So we were close, cool. But your generosity is fantastic, my friend. I really appreciate that. I think you're okay with a couple last questions here.
Keep them coming. I just want to say something, Mark. There's 150 people here. If everybody gives $26, we'll hit our 5,000. But yeah, next question. Go ahead. Is my math right? Probably not. Next question.
I'm gonna jump in here. It's Shelby. This internet is just going in and out here.
Okay.
So I have a question here. How can you overcome the fear of being pushy that holds you back from approaching people sometimes?
The fear of becoming, or the fear of being,
the fear of being pushy that holds you back from approaching people sometimes.
I think that if you know that you're providing value, like I've never pushed anybody. So people have asked me in the past, what's the most important part of the process? The presentation or the close? So typically when you think of the close, you think that's got to be the most important thing, right? It's actually not. If the presentation is so good, they close themselves. My closing ratio now is 91%. My closing ratio when I started was like 2%. And I was very pushy. But now my presentation is so refined and so good that 9 out of 10 times I'll get it. And I'm not even closing because the presentation is so good. So the close is a natural progression from a good presentation. So if you feel like, if you have a fear of being pushy, it's probably because you're not bringing enough experience or value to the table. Because if you bring enough value and experience to the table, you're just an educator and you're empowering them to make a decision. See, we have it on our wall in the office here. Our goal is to empower your real estate mission. It's not my job to make the decision for them or to push them. My job is to educate them so they can make an informed decision. That's our job. Our job is to empower them. Our ego gets in the way sometimes when we think we got to push them. No, we don't. We have to inform them so they can make the decision. That way, when things go wrong, it's not on you, it's on them. And that's how it should be, in my opinion. But I've never felt like I was pushy before. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I got one more question, DK, and then we'll call it here. And the last question that we got was, what's your perspective on planning? Short-term, mid-term, long range?
Okay. I'm kind of ramble. Like you asked me if I was going to have slides. So I look like a guy with slides. This is in my pocket. This is in my pocket. This is a check that I wrote myself for $5 million for next year. Every single year for the past 10 years, I've written myself a check. And 10 years ago, I wrote myself for $1 million. I got this from Jim Carrey. He wrote himself a check for $10 million. And then, a few months later, he got the role of the master. Ace Ventura, I can't remember, but I found it so inspiring. So I do it every year. So, I mean, from little things like this, and this is always with me, it's always in my pocket. And hey, will I hit the 5 million? Maybe, maybe not, it doesn't matter, but it's in my mind. And I touch it every day when my hand goes in my pocket and I feel it and I see it, and it becomes more real every single time. And if you asked me 20 years ago if I'd be making, you know, $1 million or 2 million a year, I'd say you're crazy when I was cleaning those toilets. So I'm a big planner. 2022 business plan is already done. I've already planned to be out of production in the next 4 years and to just be running the team. So I'm thinking always about 10 years ahead. So I think planning is very important.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, listen, DK, very generous with your donation. That is really appreciated, honestly. We appreciate the time. We appreciate the insights. Guys, for all your Ottawa area referrals, Agent DK and his team. So let's, we can have a big virtual clap for these guys. Appreciate it, honestly. And I want to thank also Matt Campbell again, Mike Sloan, Sarah Middleton. Great insights from everybody. It was a great, hopefully you got some enjoyment and some insight. And again, don't forget these great professionals. If you've got referrals in their area, they're top-notch individuals. I think you can tell by the way that they handle themselves that they want to give back in helping out you agents and us agents with some tips on our business. And that if you have any business, they will be fantastic at taking care of it. So for everybody, thank you so much. Again, we appreciate, and hey, donate to the shelter. It's a great cause. I saw that our new shelter chair was here. So thank you for coming. Great charity. And you guys all the best in the rest of the year. Have a great day.
Thank you.